Hey guys, welcome to Unbothered. I'm your host, Patrick Izili. I'm currently a marriage and family therapist graduate student, and my hope in creating this podcast is to have a platform to share the things I learn as I go on this journey, and also to have some inspiring guests come on to share their stories in hopes that parts of their stories could also benefit you in your own journey. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue to provide you with some of this great content. Welcome to Unbothered, and today's guest needs no introduction. Eight-time NBA All-Star, NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA champion, just one of seven players to have their jerseys retired by the Golden State Warriors, which was number 24. Basketball legend and Hall of Famer who revolutionized the game and was known for his signature underhanded free throw shooting. Someone who's known for speaking his mind and being a true leader on and off the court. Mr. Barry, it is truly an honor to get to sit with you. And how are you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm doing great, but you have to call me Rick. So if you're brought up properly, if an older person tells you you can call him by a certain name, that's the name you use.
Okay,
It
yeah,
sounds like you. It sounds like you were brought up properly.
right. Thank you so much. I would definitely call you Rick moving forward. So how are you doing today, sir?
Well, every day that I get up is a great day. When you get to be my age, you're just happy to get up every morning, and I'm blessed. You'll excuse me. I've been fighting off some crazy bug that's going around that a lot of people have, and so my voice is not quite the same. But other than that, if that's the worst thing that happens to me in 2025, I'll be just fine.
So obviously, like you're someone that's like very like known that in the basketball world and everything, but like I'm curious, what was the upbringing of Rick Barry like? What was your upbringing like?
Well, I just came from a middle class family. Wasn't brought up with a silver spoon in my mouth by any stretch of the imagination. Just as a very happy young kid growing up with my older brother Dennis. Didn't live in a big fancy house or anything. Was taught, I think, good values by my parents. I think the problem with today's world is that kids are brought up thinking they're entitled to things, the world of entitlement. I was always told that the only thing you're entitled to in life is what you work for and what you earn. And so my dad instilled a lot of great qualities in me as far as teaching me basketball because he was a former semi pro player and coach, but just life values that are so important, like taking pride in everything you do and always giving your best effort and never being satisfied with what you achieve, that you should always strive to improve. I mean, I was the best free throw shooter in the world of basketball, and I changed my technique to get better. It kind of reminded me when I saw Tiger Woods,
Yeah.
decades ago when he was the best golfer in the world. And you should always be trying to get better in life.
You spoke about how your dad like played the game of basketball as well. Do you think that like inspired you to take up the game of basketball?
No, I think what inspired me is my brother. I mean, I had an older brother, and so I think most kids admire their older sibling. And so when my brother got interested in something, I wanted to do it. He 9 years old when he decided that he was going to get serious about basketball. And so I got serious about basketball at 5 because he was 4 years older than me. And I
Right.
actually wound up playing on the eighth grade elementary school basketball team when I was in the fifth grade. So it was an interesting experience. I was always a pretty darn good athlete. My father was a good athlete, and that helped certainly a lot. But the biggest thing is my dad taught me the fundamentals, which I try to emphasize to parents when they talk to me all the time. What can I do with my child? Well, the best thing you can do with your child is to expose them to as many different sports as possible. Allow them to choose the one that they gravitate to,
Yeah.
but make sure that they get the proper education and teaching and the fundamental principles and concept of that particular sport. And it could not only be a sport, you could, even if you have an interest in biology or science or music, you have to learn the fundamental concepts and principles of what that is about. That is the foundation that you lay down in order to build upon. You cannot build a skyscraper on a small foundation. It just physically cannot survive. It will topple over at a certain point if it doesn't have that foundation. So, by having the great education and the foundation of whatever it is you're learning to be good at, you have the full opportunity then to maximize your full potential because you know what it is the sport is about. or whatever the field of endeavor happens to be, and you'll have a chance to maybe utilize all of your talent to its fullest. There are guys in the NBA today who are there on sheer athleticism. They're so gifted athletically, it's just I shake my head in astonishment at stuff they can do. But they'll never be as good as they should be because they really don't understand the game. They
Yeah.
don't understand how to use that God-given talent and ability to its fullest and to make it as efficient as possible.
Would you say you've always been someone who was recognized as a great athlete like all your life?
I picked things up very, very quickly. Everything in athletics that I tried to do, I was actually a better baseball player, an all-state baseball player. I was much better in high school in baseball. Well, it was too boring. It was too slow.
Right.
And I made state 2 seasons, 2 years in a row. Uh, rarely out had superior eye-hand coordination. And but I gravitated to basketball because it was just more fun to play and much more active. Being an A-type personality, it's kind of hard playing baseball when half the inning you sit in the bench, you don't do anything. Then you go out in the field, and if you're playing like I was center field, goes to Willie Mays. Hell, I can play the whole game and never see a ball. So
Right.
what do? You stand there, and you're not doing anything. And so that's why I even switched, even though I loved Willie Mays as my hero. I switched base and pitching so that I could at least be doing something active. If I wasn't pitching, at least I'm playing first base and I'm going to have some balls hit and have some activity during the time I'm on the field. And so that's why I did that. And then I finally switched over to basketball because basketball was just way more fun for me.
I mean, on that note, like I definitely I went to like a baseball game like a few months ago. Just trying to like understand the sport more and seeing like why people enjoyed the sport so much. But yeah, for that same very reason, like it was like it's just like too slow for me. Like and I just
Yeah,
couldn't.
it's really it can be very boring at times, especially if the pitchers are really on and nobody's hitting the ball, striking
Right.
out and whatever. It's like anyway, it's like watching paint dry. So um, it's a great sport. I admire at a high level. I mean, Okani, I mean, this guy's unbelievable. The Japanese player who I heard is going to pitch this next year. That should be interesting. Because I always felt, when I didn't pitch, I mean, hell, I was a great hitter. You know, and junior varsity, the coach wasn't letting me play when I didn't pitch. I said, Coach, I'm a better hitter than anybody on the team. Why am I not playing? This is crazy. I'm not going to just play every 3, 4 games and pitch. I
Right.
said, I can hit better than anybody else on the team. And so he didn't let me do that. And so that's when I said, okay, that's it. I left. I left junior varsity basketball, and that's when I focused on basketball. And the varsity coach the next year said, are you going to try out for the team? I said, well, are you going to let me play if I don't pitch? And he said, absolutely. And so I went out for the team, made it, and obviously made all state 2 years in a row. Still, lost. I didn't have the love and the passion for it, which is important to have. I think you got to love and have a passion for what you're doing in life because, as I tell kids, if you love what you're doing, that's not working for a living. You're getting to do what you love to do, and
Mhm.
somebody is crazy enough to pay you. You get paid to do what you love to do. So I told him, I said, look at me. Somebody paid me to play basketball. Are you
Right.
kidding? That's not a job. You know, you don't want to be somebody gets up in the morning and say, oh, I got to go to work today. And I said, hey, I get to go play basketball. I'm getting paid. This is a great deal. So, yeah, it's always been that with athletics for me. And then I got into all the sports. I got to be a one handicap golfer. I went into long driving in golf and won multiple world long driving championships in my age category. And then they got rid of all the old farts and I couldn't do that anymore. That's what I kind of missed when I retired to have something challenging me. And that was long driving in golf. And then I had to find something else. So I went to pickleball, and which is the fastest growing sport in the world right now, I think,
Right.
certainly in the United States. And so I committed myself to that, and I'm actually one of the top ranked players in the world in my age and skill category. And I won multiple world championships and national championships in pickleball last year.
So before, I want to know, like, I mean, just like hearing you talk right now, before the accolades, before like making it to the NBA and obviously becoming like who you are today, you're well known around the world and like whatnot. Have you always had this confidence, like this self-belief and like knowing who you are all your life? Have you always had this
Well,
attitude to you?
I think it's my father. Like I say, always give your best. Never be afraid of failure. Learn from the mistakes that you make. Always try to get better. And then if you keep working at things, you will get better. And as you get better, that's when you do get to the point where you have the most important characteristic and quality that I think that you have to have in order to be great at what you're doing, which is confidence. So you already said I am a supremely confident person because why? Because I put the time and the effort into what I was trying to learn to do to get to be really good at it. And when you get to be really good at it, you have the confidence in yourself. But that's why I go crazy when I hear the word all the time, which is the most overused word in sports lexicon, pressure. How many times you have to hear, oh, the pressure's really on pressure. I never felt pressure in my life in a basketball game. There is no such thing as pressure when you have confidence in your ability to do what it is you train to do. In life, regardless of what you're doing, you're put in situations, sometimes they are very critical situations, really important situations that you have to perform at the highest level in order to achieve the success that you want. Those situations will only become pressure when you lack the confidence in your ability to do what it is that you train to do. But if you have that confidence, you actually relish those situations. I wish that if I could go back in my career and start and have control over every game I played in, I would want every game to come down to the last 10 seconds. The game's on the line. I want the ball in my hands.
That's pretty spectacular. That's definitely like a unique mindset. But I mean, turning from that like a little bit, your underhanded free throw, which is one of the main things that that you're known for. Obviously, like that's something that's very prolific, like in your career, and like you shot a very high percentage on. I believe it was 88%.
Well, no, I actually shot almost 90 for my career, right at 90, 89, 98 or something like that. But my last 6 years, I changed my technique because, again, I wasn't satisfied. My last 6 years, I had the highest percentage anybody's ever had. I shot over 92%. My last 2 years, I shot over 94% from the free throw line.
Wow.
And I brag about it because it's the only part of the game of basketball you can be selfish and help your team.
Right. What inspired that underhand like free throw technique?
My father shot that way.
Wow.
He was the one that said, "Son, I think he could do better." I was only maybe mid 70s, which is not good. Anybody that's not shooting 80% from the free throw line is not a good free throw shooter. I
Yeah.
mean, you should be embarrassed if you can't make 80% from the free throw line. Seriously. Same size basket, same distance, same size ball every single time with no one trying to prevent you from shooting it. And you can't make that 4 out of every 5, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I mean, that's pretty interesting to hear that, like, I mean, your father was the one that like inspired you to shoot that way. Because that was, I mean, that's something that you're very well known for. And you also used to coach. Was this like was this a shooting technique that you would like teach your players? Um,
Yeah, for
like,
sure. I mean, in
yeah,
fact, I can't believe that NBA teams don't make guys learn how to shoot underhanded. I mean, wait a second. You're an employee. You're
yes.
getting paid millions of dollars, and you have a skill that's required in the sport that you're playing and getting paid millions of dollars, and you're not good at it. And you're going to tell the team that you're not going to learn to do something to help make you better and more efficient. Where the hell in the world can you tell your boss you're not going to do what he wants you to do?
Mhm.
It's ridiculous that they let the players say, no, I don't want to shoot that way. Well, bullshit. You're my employee. You need to shoot that way. If you don't shoot that way, I'm going to fine you. I mean, it's crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever that an athlete should get away with telling his boss that he's not going to do something to help make him a better player, to help the team be more successful. That's ludicrous. And maybe one day somebody's going to have enough guts to be able to step up and say, no, you have to do this. I'm not asking you to. So we'll see what happens.
So your dad taught you how to shoot this way, but like I'm sure you obviously like shot it the traditional way. Like, so you just found the handed way to be like more effective, and that just
No,
like
I didn't want to do it, to be honest with you. Same reason every do it. Back then, the girls shot that way. I can't shoot like that. Girls just
yeah,
shoot that way.
that's
Everybody's gonna make fun of me. I always remember my dad like it was yesterday. Son, they can't make fun of you if you're making them. And so, I remember the first time I did it on the road. I made some free throws. I was on Scotch Plains, New Jersey. I heard a guy from the stands yell, "Hey Barry, you big sissy shooting like that." And I heard the guy next to him perfectly clear say, "What are you making fun of him for? He doesn't miss." And so I was cool from that point on. And my father was right. How do you make fun of somebody if they're making them?
I feel like that speaks like all
And
facets of
thank
life,
you. And
not just
who cares? Who
basketball.
cares how you do it? Who cares if you shoot underhand? Who cares if you throw it over your head without looking at the basket? If you can
Right.
make the highest percentage you can possibly make by doing it in a weird, bizarre way that doesn't break a rule, why not do it? Who cares? It shouldn't matter. What matters is how efficient are you at doing it? That's all that really matters.
That is really cool. It's like, I mean, hear that from, I mean, the person who really like did it himself, like after seeing people like
Oh
imitate
yeah, people make
it's
fun. My
so
youngest son Canyon did it. And he was great. He got up to be a 90% shooter, and he had a
yeah.
great story. He said one of the games in college when he was playing, he missed a free throw, and the student section started yelling, "You're adopted! You're adopted!" which he thought was pretty funny.
Right.
But so it is what it is. You can't concern about what other people think about what you're doing. It's a matter of you having confidence in your ability to do what it is you can do. Screw what anybody else thinks.
Okay, but I mean, before coming back to you, let's go to your kids for a second, since we already kind of like pivoted to that topic. Did all your kids kind of like follow in your footsteps and play basketball, or like what did they end up kind of like
Well,
doing?
they were exposed to it, obviously, and so,
Yeah.
but I let them play and try. I try to discourage them from playing tackle football,
Okay.
but I think almost all of my boys played at least one season of tackle football. I didn't want them to play; thought it was too violent a sport. They weren't big, strong guys. Didn't want them to get hurt.
That's
Fortunately,
surprising
none
coming
of them.
from you, by the way. I feel like.
Fortunately, none of them did get hurt, and they were
Yeah.
they were actually very good at every sport they played. But so thank God they didn't decide to go into football, and they made the right choice. I just told them, I actually warned them. I said, look, if you decide you want to go into basketball, I will teach you everything I can about it. I said, but just understand that it's going to be the most difficult thing you can do because everybody is going to compare you to me. That's not fair, but that's what's going to happen. And you better be prepared for that because it's not going to be easy for you. And you have to just put that aside and don't try to be me. Just try to be the best that you can be for who you are. And fortunately for all of them, they did it. I mean, come on. I mean, think about it. What are the odds that a man could have five sons, four of them from one wife, one of them from a different wife, and all five of them get Division I college basketball scholarships. All five of them wind up playing professional basketball. I mean, the odds on that are so freaking astronomical. It's crazy. It's never happened, I don't think, in any sport in the world where there's one father who became a Hall of Fame athlete in his sport, had every one of his boys, five of them be good enough to get a college scholarship and play professionally in that sport. I mean, come on, that's just insane. I was hoping one of them be good enough to play. So it was an incredible joy for me. I mean, I'm disappointed now because my son Canyon just finished with the Olympics. He's done. He's an Olympian. He should have been in the NBA, but it didn't work out. But
Yeah.
the bottom line is that I loved watching them play so much. It was such a joy for me. And I'm probably more disappointed than he is that he's not playing because I got such a thrill out of watching my kids play basketball.
I feel like, I mean, all your kids being blessed enough to go play Division I basketball like speaks more about like your parenting style than anything else. And speaking of that, like how did you raise your kids growing up? I mean, were you kind
Well,
of
as I told you, I mean, give your best effort. Never be
yeah,
afraid to fail. Learn everything you can. I taught them the fundamentals. The only credit I take from them is that I did what my father did for me is I taught the fundamentals of the game to them so they had an understanding of how to play basketball the correct way.
yeah,
And that from there, it was up to them of how much time and effort they wanted to put in. Obviously, they got some pretty good genes because four of the grandfather on their mother's side was one of the top NBA players at one was the Hall of Fame player. So they got a lot of genes going for him. And my
right,
youngest son, Canyon, his mother was an All-American basketball player as well, the only woman to have her jersey retired at her alma mater. So he's got the genes on both sides of the family as well. So genes has a lot to do with it, but they had to put the time and the effort into it to advance their skills to the point where they were able to get a scholarship and have a chance to be a professional athlete. So I'm happy for them. I'm mostly about the fact that all of them have been good people. They have themselves in trouble. What I'm proudest of about them, not the fact that they got to play basketball. That's a cool bonus. You just want your kids to grow up, be good children, and have a good life.
That's pretty spectacular. So you have five boys, no daughters, huh?
I have an adopted daughter. She didn't play sports.
Okay.
So, but all five of my boys have done quite well for themselves. And so, yeah, I thank God every day for that.
Okay. So I want to like go through like each step of your journey from like high school to college basketball to the pros. What were each of those individual journeys like for you? What was high school like? Let's start there.
I almost quit the high school basketball team when I finally committed to basketball. I had a crazy coach who was he's nuts, and he'd scream and holler. And I finally went home and told my father. I came home one time. He said, "What's up? What's wrong?" I said, "I'm not. I refuse to play for this guy anymore. I'm done." They said, "You can't do that. You know, you got a chance to get a college scholarship. You got to stay with it. You got to." I did. I said, "I don't want to do it. The guy's out of his freaking mind, and I don't want to play for him. He's crazy." And so fortunately, they talked me out of it, and obviously, I went on and got a scholarship. And then it changed because I had a great coach in college who was a former pro player, Bruce Hale, and he taught me so much because it was like going to the minor leagues for 4 years, playing pro style basketball. You run and shoot and pass and up tempo. Hell, back when I was in college, University of Miami, with no 3-point shot, we averaged 98 points a game. That's some serious scoring in college.
Like
No
imagine if
three
the 3 point was
shot,
batted
98
like
points a game. I mean, hell,
yeah.
I led the league and led the nation scoring. I think like 36 or 7 points, 37 points a game. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
but shit, our team averaged 98, and I'll tell you, it was a hell of an accomplishment. I had some guards from Indiana, Rick Jones, Junior G. Uh, Louis Dampier's cousin John Dampier, who could shoot the hell out of it. Wayne Beckner, another guy. We had unbelievable. If we had the 3-point shot, hell, we would average 110 points a game, easy. These guys could shoot. And hell, our two guards, they think they were Steph Curry before Steph Curry. These guys were firing just crossing half court. It
So
was
you're saying
unbelievable.
like you guys had just as good shooters back then
No, I'm
as
not saying just as good.
okay,
They had the thought that they were great shooters. That
okay,
they would shoot fire it from anywhere. I mean, they were great shooters. But nobody's been like Steph Curry. But yeah,
right,
if we had the 3-point shot in college back in those days, it would have been crazy. We would have put up numbers nobody would ever touch.
okay. So going from college, like at what point did you start to like realize like that you were gonna make it to the NBA?
Well, I think when that happened was I was my junior year. No, it was actually my sophomore year. My
Okay,
sophomore year. My sophomore year, I was playing. Let's see, Mike was there. He was a senior. It was junior, sophomore. Yeah, it would have been my sophomore year. Mike McCoy was our 7-foot center, and from Indiana, and had come from Indiana. And Lou Mose, the general manager for the Los Angeles Lakers, came out to watch and scout him. And so he got to see a couple of our games, and I was a sophomore at the time.
yeah,
And so they asked him, say, what do you think about McCoy making it in the NBA? Well, he would have been ahead of his time because he was like they are now. He used to shoot from way outside. I mean, he would have been great for today's game because he could shoot the shot from outside. He would have been a 3-point shooter. He was not a low post kind of guy. Wasn't super athletic. He said, well, I have my doubts about McCoy. He said, but Rick Barry is going to be a great NBA player one day. Well,
mhm,
to hear the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the great franchises in the NBA, say
mhm,
that kind of resonated with me. You know, it made me feel pretty damn good about it. And so I said, well, I got to keep working at this because if he thinks I'm good enough to make it in the NBA, then shit, I got to make it. So that was a great incentive for me. It really was. That probably really bolstered my confidence in myself to believe in myself even more.
okay. So let's fast forward to your time in the NBA. Who was the toughest defender you ever faced in your career, or the toughest team
Every good
you ever
defender
had?
that I ever in every team I played against, the toughest defender always guarded me. That was not an issue. I wasn't worried about that. The hardest thing for me was having to guard a big, strong guy who posted up. I didn't have any problem guarding the quick guys on the perimeter. Hell, I was faster than our guards. I was quick and fast, which I think differentiated me from players in the NBA. There was rarely that a guy 6'8" could come in who was as fast as I was and as quick as I was and as athletic as I was without being a great leaper. I wasn't a great leaper,
Right.
like some of my sons are. My brother was. I wish I had that ability, and I wish I had big hands to do some of the stuff they could do. But that was my big advantage. Uh, was having speed and quickness at my size and handling the ball. Everybody said, "Oh, what a great ball handler." Hell, my ball handling skills, I could dribble righty, lefty, crossover. That was the extent of my ball handling skills. You didn't go between your legs and behind the back and do all the stuff the players do today. In fact, if I were able to be younger and could play today, the one area mainly that I would have to improve on would be my ball handling. I would have to be a better ball handler and do more, have more skill and versatility with the ball. Although I do think that a lot of times it's overblown, too much dribbling. You don't need to necessarily do as much dribbling as they do, but it certainly is a tremendous advantage to be able to have a great handle.
How do you think you would fare playing in today's NBA game?
How do I think I would play?
Yeah, in today's game, how do you think your game?
I hear so many people say, Rick, you guys would have a hard time playing in today's game. And I said, are you on drugs? I said, you actually know what you're talking about? I said, do you know what I had when I played as far as training and stuff to help make me better? Zero. Nothing. Nothing. I didn't have a strength coach. I didn't have an agility coach. I didn't have a dietitian. We traveled horribly. We would take midnight flights to get places. We'd get done with the game, fall asleep at 2 in the morning, get up to take the first commercial flight at 6:30 in the morning to play a game the next night. I mean, our schedule was so brutally demanding. I mean, and now I would be faster, stronger, quicker, more endurance, jump higher. I mean, it'd be crazy how much better I would be as a player, and I wouldn't have been worn out because they don't let you play. Hey, one time I played 4 games in 5 nights in 4 different cities. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just a different world. And then they get done with a game, they get on a charter, they go to the next city, get a good sleep. It's all the difference in the world. So the Oscar Robinsons and the Bill Russells and the Wilt Chamberlains and the Jerry West and Elgin Baylors and Frazier and Monroe, all these great guys I played with or against, and Havlicek, I just go on naming so many of them. We all would be better because we didn't have any of the other stuff that we were able to do or even knew about. But we knew how to play. We
hmm.
understood how to play the game fundamentally
So why do you think the game has changed so drastically the way that it has now?
because coaches have gotten away from teaching them how to play. I mean, I think AAU has been one of the worst things that could have happened to basketball.
Really?
I'm not blaming. There's some other. I'm sure there's some really good coaches out there trying to teach the fundamentals, but get the guys who are the greatest athletes, go run faster, jump higher, and use your athleticism and go win. And the teaching, I think, went south. I mean, when I coached in the minor leagues a few years after I retired, it was astonishing to me to get some of these players who came from reputedly great programs, and I'm not going to mention any names, how fundamentally unsound they were. I mean, I swear to God, I could not freaking, I said, what are you doing? He said, what do you mean? I said, why in the hell are you taking the ball and pivoting and taking yourself 3 feet further from the freaking basket?
Right.
He said, well, that's what they taught us at the camp. I said, they taught you that? And, so, I mean, it was just kind of mind numbing to me, the inefficient teaching that was taking place. And I really feel a lot of players got shortchanged and a lot of guys who could have been much greater players had they been taught the fundamentals of the game. It's just a shame, really is.
For you, Rick, what was your most memorable game like playing in the NBA?
Any game we won. I only
Okay.
played to win, but winning the championship. That's you don't play for individual honors. I mean, I had some great individual games. I mean, I had a game. I had 25 rebounds. My career high is 25 rebounds in a game. But I had that game against Will Chamberlain and Luke Jackson, and big old front line, and I had 25 rebounds individually. I think I set a record for forwards. I think I had 19 assists in a game against in Chicago,
Right,
which means I
right.
probably had over 20 because I know they screwed me out of a couple of assists in Chicago.
Yeah,
Um, and so, those were good things. I mean, I took great pride in that, but it's winning. I mean, winning the championship in 75 in the most dramatic fashion, the biggest upset in the history of major sports in the United States of America, that nothing's been done about it for 50 years. Finally, a documentary's coming out this year, The Cardiac Kids. And it's just a shame that so many of my teammates are no longer with us to be able to see that.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, the greatest upset in major sports in the United States in the finals, finally, a story is going to be done about that. And that was always very disappointing to me because I felt my teammates never got the credit and recognition for what we were able to accomplish that year. It was such a special season. And I'm happy that they're going to get that the way that the story is being done from what I've heard. they will get the recognition that they justifiably deserve. I got a lot of recognition because I was MVP and what have you, but we just had a special team. It was kind of like, college basketball, the rah rah, everybody together, go to movies together, eat together, everybody caring about one another. The way I was taught the game was supposed to be.
Why do you think you guys didn't like? I mean, I guess your teammates didn't get the recognition
I
that
don't know.
deserved back
I
then.
mean, we didn't get invited to the White House. They didn't have us on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, when the hell's the last time the finals in the NBA that wasn't on the cover of Sports Illustrated when they won? It was a terrible injustice to our team what took place, and for them to have taken 50 years to finally do something about it. And it would only have gotten done because I was working on it and had somebody ready to do it. But then Charles Dudley, the Hopper, my teammate, he had gotten something started. But it had not been for that, it might never have gotten done.
Which current NBA player reminds you the most about yourself when you played?
Oh, well, the guy that came after me, Bird, probably was the one that would be more like me. I think I was I was quicker and faster than Bird. But Bird was, bigger, taller, stronger guy than I was. Great shooter. I think a better shooter. I might have been a little better scorer, but Bird was a great player. So I would say if there's anybody I had to pick after me that came along, I would have to say it would have been Bird. In today's game, it's hard to say because there's not a lot of guys. I mean, the game is so much different now with the 3-point shot. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think Luka Doncic, but he's a strong, powerful. Luka Doncic just kind of reminds me of Oscar Robertson when Oscar played. Strong, good guy, do it. Not super athletic. He's not going and jumping over people all the time. He uses his body well. He understands the game, though. See, he was taught the right way. The foreign players were taught the fundamentals. That's why he and the Joker are two of the best players in the league because they're so fundamentally sound. You want to talk about the most efficient player maybe I think I might have ever seen in my life, it's the Joker. This guy's unbelievable. I mean, he knows how to play. I mean, he barely does. He makes it look so easy and so effortless and is so efficient and has great footwork and sees the court and can pass it and shoot it. Man, would I love to play with him. Oh, God.
And this is something I have to ask, especially to someone like yourself. How do you feel about like the recent trade that just happened? Obviously, Luka Doncic to the Lakers.
Well, the
Um,
Lakers stole.
your
Lakers got to
family.
steal. I mean, I understand why the Lakers have to do it because it's LA. It's La La Land. Okay. You have to have a marquee player and a big name. They've got LeBron. They've always had to get people. I know Jerry West, when he's the GM, trying to go and get Shaq and Kobe and whatever. They always trying to bring, name players there. So LeBron's just at the end of his career, playing amazing, incredible playing like he is at 40 years of age. But when you spend $1 million a year on your body, you got a chance to keep yourself at a high level, which he's done. And so, maybe he plays again another year. Who knows what he's going to do? But they had to have somebody. And so to have a chance to pick up a 25-year-old, one of the top players in the country, how in the world do you not make that trade? They gave up a hell of a player. I like Anthony Davis a lot, but Anthony Davis is 30 something years old. Luke is
Right.
25. So a great deal for the Lakers to be able to do that. Why Dallas
Yeah.
would decimate their team doing that because his work ethic or something? Well, sit down and have a talk to him. Say, hey, we need you to work out a little bit more or whatever. I mean, you don't give up on a 25-year-old who's one of the great players in the league. And
Right.
then, you got a great player in Davis for him, but they didn't get as much for him as I think they should have been able to have gotten for him.
Mhm.
So, yeah, the Lakers, it's one of the great steals ever in trades in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, definitely appreciate like your take on that. Then also, like, I mean, really unfortunate, like the other day, like what happened to like Kyrie, but it was pretty impressive. He was still able to like step up to the line and hit the two free throws. Obviously, like unfortunate season-ending injury there.
Well, here's
Um,
the thing. Here's the thing. The trade itself, and what I'm surprised at is how well the Lakers are doing. I didn't necessarily feel that the Lakers would become that much better a team, but they have. But it's not just because of Luca.
yeah,
It's because the other players have elevated their game. The other players have an excitement and they're playing with a whole new renewed energy and playing at a level that they hadn't played at before. You can't do it with just one player or two. It's the team that has to do it. So give credit to JJ for getting this team together and playing the kind of basketball they're playing because initially I really believe that the Lakers team wasn't going to be as good as what Dallas was going to become. Kyrie can elevate his game. I mean, he pulled back on his game because he had Doncic. So what did he do? Hell, our Warriors team, he killed us. 40 something points he scored. If they had gotten back their healthy people, which they had never done, and then Davis gets hurt, but Davis playing the four where he's happy, get Lively, who I like a lot, as the center position. If Dallas had everybody healthy playing right now, I think Dallas would be a way better basketball team than they were just having Luka. No doubt in my mind about that. But they've had devastated, obviously, with injuries, and so they're done now, especially with Kyrie out for the season.
But speaking of trades, I mean, like the team like you spent the majority of your career in, traded for Jimmy Butler, and obviously things have been going like pretty well since then. What are your thoughts on Butler on the Warriors and how things have been going?
Well, I felt he would be a great addition to the team because they needed someone else. Yeah, you have to have more than one person that you could put the ball in his hands in a close game with 5 seconds on the shot clock to be able to do something for you. And when Clay left, obviously, Steph was the guy. I mean, who else is going to get it done? They were hoping Kuminga was going to develop into that. He still may.
Right.
But to get somebody like Butler who can do that, who can penetrate, can get to the basket, can post up, can shoot the three, play tough defense, um, move without the basketball, play a Warriors brand of basketball. He's been a great addition to that team, as indicative by how successful they've been since he joined the ball club. And so I was really excited and happy about that. And again, the other players are elevating the game. Pajinski's starting to play, at a level that they expected from him, which he wasn't doing at the beginning of the year. Buddy Hield has been kind of up and down, roller coaster stuff. But if Buddy gets his shot back and plays at that level, and then if Kuminga comes back and elevates his game, the Warriors are a team right now. They got themselves, back in when they were out of even the play-in. They were doing so poorly. Now all of a sudden they could be a sixth seed, whatever, seventh seed. If
Right.
I'm going into the playoffs in the first round and I'm one of the top seeds in the Western Conference and I had to play the Warriors, I would be concerned.
Right.
Anytime you got a Jimmy Butler and a a Jimmy Butler and a Steph Curry
Mhm.
and a veteran guy like Draymond and a bunch of other young players playing with confidence the way the Warriors are playing now, if they were able to sustain this kind of high level play, I'd be really worried playing them in the first round of the playoffs.
Rick, who was your biggest influence as a basketball player growing up?
Elgin Baylor.
Elgin Baylor. Okay. What's one lesson basketball taught you that applies to every facet of life?
Well, that's what I said. I mean, doesn't matter what it is. Always give your best effort. Always try your best. Don't be afraid to fail. Learn from the mistakes that you make, and never be satisfied. Always trying to improve. If you approach life in that way, I don't think you can't help but become relatively successful as long as you're willing to put the time and effort in again to learn the fundamental principles and concepts of whatever it is you're doing. Science, music, doesn't matter. You have to be well versed in the fundamental principles and concept of that sport, of that profession, in order to maximize your potential.
How do you feel about your legacy in the game of basketball?
I think if I stayed in the NBA and hadn't left the NBA, my legacy would be a hell of a lot better than it is right now. People
Okay.
were really upset with me for leaving the NBA, but it is what it is. The players should be giving me a part of their freaking salaries because I'm the one that opened up free agency for them.
Right.
But the bottom line is that I know who I was. I know that every time I put my uniform on, that I gave my best effort. I can actually say it was only one quarter of one game as a professional basketball player that I mentally was not in the game. Something was going on in my life and I allowed it to impact me. I was so upset with myself at the end of that first quarter. I said, okay, you can never ever allow this to happen again. And so just to be a player that always gave his best effort every time he stepped into his uniform and walked onto that court. And for me to have seen some stuff on the internet with some freaking idiot out there came out with some video stuff saying that I quit on the Golden State Warriors. And in game 7 in the Western Conference Finals, that guy should be shot. He has no idea what he's talking about. And anybody that knows me, there's not a chance in hell that I'm not going to go out and try to win every basketball game I ever played in. That was such a disservice to me. And whoever that guy is, he owes me an apology because that was bullshit.
You're leaving to the ABA. Walk us through that. Like what essentially happened? You said that has opened the door for current NBA players. But
Well,
like what happened
I
to you?
didn't necessarily do it for that reason. I did it because I come into the league. Everybody says, "Oh, rookie of the year." Well, rookie, great. Hey, I was pro as a rookie. That's way more important than making rookie of the year. I made first team All Pro as a rookie. Rarely has ever happened in the history of the NBA. That's an accomplishment I'm proud of. Then I'm first team again the next year. I lead the league in scoring the next year. I lead the league, I think, in free throw shooting. I'm up there in steals. We came within two pick and roll plays of winning the championship. So my legacy is I found out that I've done more things in my career that I had no idea I did because nobody paid any attention to statistics back in those days. Every time I turn around in the last 15, 20 years, I see my name pop up as somebody just did this and he joins this elite group and my name's in that elite group. I had no idea I did some of these things.
All right.
And which is kind of surprising, it surprised me. I mean, I felt good about it when I learned about them. I mean, like I can guarantee you, if you were to go up to 1,000 people who are basketball fans and ask them, who do you think has the highest scoring average in the history of NBA finals? I don't think one person would ever say me.
I mean, I would just because I did my research.
Yeah. Well, I'm just serious. I mean,
But
I was shocked when I found out myself. I had no idea. I
yeah,
was shocked, and I'm saying by a significant average. Now, I didn't play as many games, but the bottom line of it is I have the highest scoring average for players who played a minimum of 10 games in NBA finals, and that's me. And I had no idea about that. Absolutely none. And it was irrelevant to me because all I cared about is I didn't win the one championship. I won the other one. I mean, it was just about winning. It wasn't about individual accomplishments. I mean, there's so many things there, number of 50-point games by a certain age, all these games. Who the hell cares? I always equate it to this. All the awards that you win. Okay, so I led the league in scoring. I led the league in steals. I led the league in free throw shooting. All these are great things, right? I this, that, and that. Take all of those things. It's kind of like having a birthday cake, right? Take the icing, the candles, the cherries, all the wonderful things that you put on a cake to make it really look cool, right?
mhm.
Put them on a plate without the cake. How good do they look?
Not good at all.
Like a big mess sitting there, right? It's the cake. You play for the freaking cake. That's the championships. You play to win. Fortunately for me, I got the cake and I have a whole bunch of that other stuff that I can decorate my cake pretty nicely.
That's an amazing way to put it. So throughout your whole career, did you ever encounter doubt within yourself? Did you ever like doubt your abilities?
No.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I think we could all see that.
No,
But
the only thing I was concerned about is when I got hurt and had operations. I didn't know whether or not my knee was going to hold up. And so I
hmm,
had to overcome that mental aspect of it. And I was able to do that, fortunately, and yeah, and survived all of that. But no, I've always been an extremely confident individual,
hmm,
but not to the point of people say, oh, he's arrogant. No, then trust me, an arrogant person is someone who doesn't have great confidence. Arrogance is a camouflage mechanism for someone who really doubts themselves. And so they pick this big bravado and they act this way and do that stuff. But inside they're scared shitless, I think. I really do believe that.
okay.
I mean, so I was extremely confident and justifiably so. Why? Because I put the time and the effort into practicing, working at my craft, getting better all the time, which enabled me to have confidence in myself and my ability because I put the effort into getting to the point where I was really good.
How difficult was it when you tried to return to the NBA from the ABA?
Well, it wasn't difficult. I mean, I had no choice in the matter. It was just, I mean, well, I did have a choice. There's so much contractual stuff; it take too long to explain it. Bottom line is, I had signed the contract to go back to the NBA once I was legally able to do so. And that contract came into play when I wound up going back and playing with the Nets, and we had a chance almost to win a championship. Came close there. Wound up losing against the Pacers in a series that we should have won. I mean, I all these things are like haunt me. The losing games and finals and stuff. But and so the owner of the Nets said, "Rick, we really want to keep you here." And I said, "Look, Roy," I said. He was the owner's name. First name was Roy. I said Roy Bowe was his name. I said, look, Roy, I already sat out 1 year in the prime of my life. I'm not doing it again. I'm not going to sit out to stay here and do this. I'm going back. I'm tired of this. I just want to go back and play. I want to win championships. And I'll do. And I always honored every contract I ever had. I didn't jump contracts to do anything. I honored every contract I've ever had when I played basketball. Now, if I had to do it over again, would I have left? No. I would have stayed. If I had to do it over again and I really wanted to play it and it was about money, which I didn't do, I would have played. I was stupid not to play one side against the other. Hell, I should have been going back. Okay, what do you offer me? I go back work. Okay, here's what they're offering me. What's your best offer? All right, we'll offer you this. Then go back, say, well, this is what they're willing to do. Are you willing to up the offer? I could have done that. And from a business standpoint, I should have. I mean, how many times in the world do you have a situation where you got two people bidding on your services, willing to pay you ridiculous, paying you money to do it, and it wasn't stupid money back then. I mean, I left the Golden State Warriors to go to the Rockets. You know how much? You know what the difference was?
No,
The
tell me.
$10,000.
Wow.
It was principal. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. I'm sitting in there, and the general manager says, Rick, I
Mhm.
can't believe you're going to blow this deal over $10,000. I said, Scotty, I think you got it freaking backwards. I
Huh.
can't believe you're willing to let me go over $10,000. And now they're talking about, hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Was there a time you ever regretted like leaving the NBA, like regardless of it being about like time?
No, I mean, yeah, there were times I said, what the hell are you doing here and going through all this shit? But it is what it is. You like you say, you make your bed, you lie in it. I mean, this is what I chose to do, and so you deal with it. I mean, you don't have to be necessarily happy about it. There's a lot of times that the stuff that was going on was so Mickey Mouse and so Bush League, and I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going through this crap. And but you do it, and still, I went out every game I played. It didn't matter. I played a game with more people sitting on the benches in the scorers table in Houston, Texas, in the ABA than there were sitting in the stands. Now, you don't think that takes some pride to go out and do that? And but that's just who I was. And like you say, you always give your best effort, regardless of the circumstances. And if I had to do it, if I had to do it over again, and I knew I could be where I am today
Yeah.
with the amazing wife that I have, with my other son, my youngest son, Canyon, and know that I would still have them, and I'd still have the friends that I'd have,
Hmm.
but all that would have transpired had I stayed in the NBA. Definitely would not have left. But the thing is, I wouldn't be where I am today because I love Star Trek. The space-time continuum would have been disrupted, and so it never would have worked out for me to be at the position that I'm in now had I stayed with the Warriors. And everything in life happens for a reason. Those things were meant to happen. It was meant for me to go through the experiences that I went through. That's all part of what my life was about. And, good stuff, bad stuff, whatever it may have been, but it all led to where I am today. And I'm extremely grateful and thrilled. I have the most amazing wife. I have another amazing son. I have great friends. I'm healthy. What more can you ask for? Yeah, sure. It'd be nice to have a $300 million 5-year contract, but it wasn't meant to be. I mean, I never heard the word $1 million in my contracts. The lowest paid guy in the NBA this year will make twice as much money as I made in my best year, and he doesn't even play.
Wow. Yeah, that definitely says a lot about how the game has changed for sure.
Yep.
So, like, I mean, what are some setbacks that you faced in your career, and what was your mental?
My injuries,
Okay,
to have
injury.
to overcome the injuries. I would like to think what I could have been if I'd never gotten hurt. Oh my God,
Yeah.
and it would have been great if I could have stayed on and played. I was ready to play for the Celtics. And the NBA, to save money in 1980, cut the rosters from 12 to 11. Otherwise, I would have gone to play for the Celtics, just like Bill Walton had done and Scotty Webman had done and Tony Archibald had done. And a lot of other NBA players did that. And I would have been there with Bird and McHale and Parrish. It would have been unbelievable how good that team was because I had an operation after my last year in 1980. And the doctor found a piece of calcium wedged in my joint that was bigger than a silver dollar and thicker. And he said, "How in the hell did you play with this?" And I
Yeah.
said, I didn't know it was there. So I hadn't felt that good in 10 years and never played another NBA game after that. And yeah, it was disappointing in that regard. But again, it wasn't meant to be. But boy, to know, and it would have been fun to see what I might have been able to do had I been really healthy. My leg was maybe 80% of what it should have been. So anyway, it was all great stuff doing it. So I'm going to have to go. My wife has gotten back home, but I've enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah.
Tell Festus I said hello.
Yeah, I definitely will. But it's been an insane pleasure. Like, getting to speak with you right now. But like one final question before I let you go. What advice would you give to young Rick Barry if you could go back in time today?
I don't know, probably to have a filter in my brain that my wife, since I'm older, has tried to have me have, which is basically I'm always been outspoken. I've always been reasonably intelligent person, and it's a great thing, honey. What goes into your brain doesn't necessarily have to come out of your mouth. So I didn't have a lot of tact when it came to things. She said, honey, you're the most honest person I've ever met, but you're brutally honest. I would probably have to learn to take the brutality out of my honesty, but I would never stop being an honest person because that's who I am. But just give a little bit more thought to what it is I'm saying as the reaction or what might people might think about it. You can't get to the point that you live your life worrying about what you say and try to please everybody because that's crazy. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But that would be the one thing that I probably, if I could go back and change things, I would probably change that.
On that note, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me some of your time today, and I really appreciate having you on the Unbothered podcast. And thank you so much for your time today.